everyone, and thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the only show that asks you to pull out your chairs, get your TTRPG books, and join us at the table. Before we go into what we're going to be talking about today, in case you didn't see it on the social medias, or the social meds, as I like to butcher it, let's do a quick introduction. You know the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Michael Powell. Please introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and where we can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Hello, everybody. As always, I'm Mr. I am Mr. Michael Powell, and my social media is Mr. Kapow, which is MRKAPAO. And how about you, PJ?
My name is PJ McGaw. I'm all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Come find me. Let's have a good time. And before we drag this out and I say something absolutely just silly, let's talk about what we're talking about today. That is ancestries. And I think at this point, if we conclude today, I think we're done with all the ancestries.
From the Lost Omens?
Of the Lost Omens, as is printed. There's going to be more, I guarantee you, because they're amazing. And today, we will confirm later.
Yeah.
But at least most of the new ones, we're going to be, like, tapping out. We still have, of course, like, elves and humans and dwarves, but for the classic, excusing the classic, the new ones, we have two. We have the beastkin, the people of the land and the animal, and the Azarketi, the people of the sea and the fish. And we're going to start out with the Azarketi. So if you like tritons, mermaids, all variations of fish people, this is what Pathfinder has to offer. And what's great about this is, in the past, we've had a lot of versatile heritages. Now, for those who don't know, this is a really cool way. A versatile heritage is a really cool way to spice up your OC, if you will. You know, it's like your main race, your secondary race, put them together. You are a wholly unique and fully solid individual. Now, the Azarketi is not a versatile heritage. This is a primary ancestry, which means you can get silly and make an angel mermaid or a devil mermaid, you know, if you want to have that fanfic come to life. So,
or a beastkin Azarketi.
Are the beastkins versatile, or
yes, they are. They are versatile.
Ooh.
So you can really lean into the, the fish part.
Yeah, so that's really, really cool. So without further ado, let's talk about these fishes. Now, first things first, the Azarketi are an uncommon amphibious humanoid. Mm-hmm. So what that means is that you should it should work with most campaign settings. You probably may want to ask your GM, just like, hey, I'm thinking Azarketi. Does that work with your world vision or your story? But so long as there's water in that world, it'll probably be okay. And here is their back fluff and mechanics. Azarketis, inheritors of a shattered empire's legacy. They hold their proud traditions close, but still surface to interact with the rest of the world. Paizo, you get a hero point for that pun. The aquatic humanoids of the inner sea share a somber and burdened history. Most refer to these aquatic peoples as gilmen, or sometimes low Aslanti, though they typically refer to themselves as Azarketi, an Aslanti word that translates roughly to the people of the sea. After Earthfall, these proud humans were mutated into aquatic servants by their Algothul foes. Probably butchering that. Feeling that they don't fully belong with their human brethren, nor with the sea that binds them, many Azarketis struggle for a sense of identity and purpose. Though they remain distrusted by the surface dwellers, Azarketis celebrate their unique lineage and their descent from the venerated Aslanti culture. This ancestry is so steeped in ancient Golarian lore. If you know your Golarian lore, basically the Earthfall, I think it's when the giant star landed and basically kind of started like all of it, the gods and everything. And the Aslanti are kind of like an ancient race of people, right up there with like the Rune Lords, if you ever played Rise of the Rune Lords. So there's a lot to unpack.
I want to say they kind of remind me of how popular media kind of uses Atlantean, people from the real world. Well, real world-ish.
I mean, real world mythology. Yeah, these are
Yeah.
absolutely Atlanteans,
Yeah.
and I feel like when we get to the Ancestry feats, we're going to see just how Atlantean they really are.
Uh-huh. And I also do want to point out that you could check out the Aslanti from the Aslanti Ancestry Web Supplement. It was an online release from Paizo.
That explains it, yes, because if you go to the Archives of Nethys or the Pathfinder 2 PFSRD, there's little symbols and logos that means like different types of releases.
Yeah.
This was definitely released as part of a
web supplement.
Yeah, a supplemental piece.
Yeah.
So this hasn't been published in like a major book yet, but
well, actually, what's really interesting about this was it was first published as a web supplement, but there are heritages which we will talk about later on. In the, I think it's a Lost Omen Ancestry book that was recently released.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Perfect. Yeah. Now, I want to get to the hard mechanics, because we've kind of been over a little bit of their history. Their culture is a long read. It's really cool stuff, though. So if you're really curious, like, well, what's it like to live in Azarketi? Look it up. But here's their stats, because their stats are kind of fun. So your hit points are 8. So you're not squishy. You're not tanky. You have a lot of options. You're a medium-sized creature. Now, here is what is sexy. 20 foot of speed. That's not great. Most people have 25. And for a medium creature to have 20, 5 less, that kind of sucks. However, they start off with a swim speed of 30. Consider that for a second, because that is a movement. Anytime you get a buff to movement, that will also increase.
Yeah, you're essentially, you're not Aquaman, but you're one of Atlanteans from Aquaman.
Now, speaking of Aquaman, here's their ability boost. They get a free boost to Constitution, a free boost to Charisma, and 1 free boost to whatever they want. That is 3 stats that they can increase by +2 at creation. Now, the only flaw they get is a -2 to Wisdom. So you can maybe spend that last free point to basically negate that penalty, but maybe consider, I'm probably not going to be a cleric. Do whatever you want to do, by all means.
I mean, I'm just going to call them Atlanteans. Atlantean cleric would actually be really interesting.
Oh, don't get me wrong. An Atlantean druid, Atlantean cleric, that would be dope magoat. But, you know.
Poseidon.
Yeah, and the thing is, you could still totally do it. We're not saying you shouldn't. You're just going to be working against a limitation. Yeah. And then, you know, there's a lot of really good role play and story mechanics for that. Languages. They speak actually a lot. They speak Common, Algolthu, and they can speak an additional language equal to their intelligence modifier, if positive. You can choose from Aklo, the language of the Aberrants, Aquan, water people, makes sense, Aslanti, which is a very rare language, Draconic, Elven, and Undercommon. So go wild, speak every language. You have low light vision. Okay, there's probably going to be feet down the road for dark vision. Yeah. I'd imagine like
it's pretty
Aquaman
dark under the water. Yeah, it's dark under the water. Oh, and really quick, I want to jump in chat. Maynard said, gonna see fewer monkfish than I like because of that -2 wisdom. My funny bone weeps. You know what? Better monkfish than blobfish.
Yeah, blobfish looks like someone blew their nose in a tissue and then drew googly eyes on it.
Yeah.
I also love Maynard saying, beast mermaid, half fish, half fish. More fish than fish. Also, Pengu-chan, it's always a delight to see you in the chat. Last thing, and this is the last mechanic of the base part of this ancestry, hydration. While you are an amphibious being equally as capable on land as in the water, your body requires you to return to aquatic environments at least once in a 24-hour period. You must submerge in water in order to rehydrate your water-acclimated skin. If you fail to do this, your skin begins to crack and your gills become painful. After the first 24 hours outside of water, you take a -1 status penalty to fortitude saves. After 48 hours, you struggle to breathe air and begin to suffocate until returned to water. Now, this is, not going to lie, that is a heavy penalty, especially if you are in Osmocon jungle and you have to scrape for water as opposed to just diving in the sea.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take a bath every day at least.
Oof. Yeah, how long did you be submerged for? Let me see.
I don't think it says. I think you just need to like do a quick dip,
I think
done.
so. Yeah, I think you're right. So honestly, if you prep one stein of water, one thing of water a day, you can just dump on your head and be good.
Or once again, if you do go druid, create water, shower.
Ooh, you know what? Like, one of the things I was excited about for having a ranger and a druid in Osmocon is seeing how they apply magic and their skills for traversing this horrible, like, this amazing jungle. Like, the druid's like, no direction, create food and water. And the ranger's like, sense direction and tracking and bonuses. But that would almost be a necessity.
Let's jump into heritages now. And if you don't mind, I'll take the first one. Ancient scale as land. Okay, I need some help here, PJ.
The ancient scale Azarketi.
Azarketi, yeah. The ancient scale Azarketi. Your lineage stems from the Azarketis, who remain dedicated to their deep-sea roots. Divorced from land society, you're a foreigner to any world above 1,000 fathoms deep. You gain dark vision. There you go. Your body is dotted with photorescent spots that emit a guiding light and helps you communicate. The spots, located primarily on your face, arms, and hands, illuminate a 10-foot radius around you with dim light. You can activate, deactivate, or change the arrangement of lights as an action, which has the concentration trait. So, yeah, you're it reminds me, you're kind of like that, I think they're called anglerfish, the one with the little light kind of thing in front of it.
Yep. Yeah. I like this because at level 1, this is going to become super valuable. You get dark vision and can create light for those who don't have dark vision. That is extremely necessary at level 1.
Yeah.
And also, when no one has that ability yet.
Yeah. And also, I kind of want to say, it'll be a fun kind of role play tool where you can kind of like different arrangement of lights, the brightness and everything. You can kind of do it like in response to your character's emotions.
Yeah, and hey, you know what? It doesn't say that you can't control the color and luminosity. It just says it's a 10-foot radius with dim light. I might be using the word luminosity wrong, but as long as you are generating 10-foot radius, that's a 20-foot diameter. Crud, that's a lot of light. Anyway, moving right along. The Benthic Azarketi. Your heritage traces the Azarketis living deep beneath the sea, and you can handle the chilling depths more easily than most. You gain resistance to cold equal to half your level, and you don't treat environmental cold as 1 degree more severe when you are wet. You adapt to pressure changes from being deep underwater automatically without ill effect. So this is really cool because having a passive resistance that levels up with you is nice. Cold may be rare, but one thing is for certain. If you are playing the Reign of Winter, I think it's called, from Pathfinder 1st Edition, this is going to be instrumental in surviving the horrendous cold that you're going to be in.
Yeah, definitely if you're going to be playing kind of like a snowfall campaign. And once again, with that snowfall campaign, kind of like in a cold weather campaign, if there's a lot of snow around you, melt the snow. You got some water there.
Exactly. Like this, excuse me, my coffee's making me burp. This class, or this Ancestry, would be perfect on the Journey North campaign where you guys went off with, what's his nuts? Larian Voss. In fact, Larian Voss and
what's his nuts? Really?
it's a phrase. It's an idiom. I say it a lot. I'm a fan. Anyway, I also want to go in the chat and shout out to Maynard, who was like, "Oh man, can you use the Everphil, the decanter of endless water to bypass that massive setback?" And to his credit, he did the research and said 320 gold pieces. It does exist, and you can use this. So if you're playing this game and have at least 320 gold, you can buy a magical item that makes your only drawback from your Ancestry no longer an issue forever.
And I also want to point out, Maynard also posted, as part of the theme for today's episode, you both have to make sure you're well hydrated. I mean, I have some water there, but right now I'm working on a coffee.
Yeah, my hydration is caffeine.
Uh-huh.
Why did you get the next one?
All right. I think it's nurtured Azarketi.
Inured. Yeah, it's a weird word.
Inured. Your ancestors had to survive in polluted water that made every breath noxious. You gain poison resistance equal to half your level, minimum 1. Furthermore, you can survive out of water for 72 hours before you begin to suffocate. So, yeah, if you take this heritage, you don't really have to worry that much then about being out of the water. And also, you get a nice little poison resistance. Not bad.
Yeah, this might actually be one of the best ancestries, at least for overcoming an entire damage type you're more likely to run into, especially with beasts, and of course to overcome the issue with the whole choking to death thing.
Yeah, I could definitely see if you go with what kind of fish, it would be, I kind of want to say it's either the carp or the goldfish, one of those two, because one of those two fishes could actually survive in polluted water.
Yes. I don't believe the one I'm about to mention can, but I like it for flavor text. The puffer fish.
Ooh, yeah.
Now here's to say, you can base it off of fish, but again,
or
these
the
are
catfish.
The catfish, and that could be your mustache.
Yeah.
But I'll say that it's your choice for the aesthetics. They're mostly described as like what you would think an Atlantean would look like. They have gills, they have some denser skin, maybe some webbed feet and toes. But they don't have to look like a fish. You can just have that for funsies.
PJ.
Yeah.
Imagine if you have the catfish as your theme, and you do a Cajun voice with your character.
Oh, I love that. If we want to get like some deep folklore, your catfish, and they have the spell earthquake.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Nerding out a little more later. Mistbreath is the next one. You descend from Azarketis who migrated to land environments that could support their need for water. Over time, your people adapted to life on land culturally and physically, even resulting in Azarketis born with human hair, like their Aslanti ancestors. You no longer need to be immersed in water every 24 hours to maintain your skin, and can instead mist or wipe your skin with water to live comfortably. Your land speed's 25, but your swim speed is 15. So I think this also goes to address the issue that Man for the Wind had in the chat too about worrying about that major drawback. The mist breath seems to be kind of the best balance of removing the penalties and balancing out the benefits.
Yeah, I feel it's like the extreme Atlantes with their when they were human. This is like the middle evolution, right?
I can kind of see that. I think this is more like a unilateral evolution. So like you had the Aslanti, and they were, according to the lore, harshly mutated, or this one sect, harshly mutated into Aslanteans. They fled underwater, became Aslanteans. And then as some of the Atlanteans, or Azarketi, came back to land, they started then evolving into being able to survive on land more and less in water. So it's like a unilateral evolution.
Yeah, and I also kind of want to say, this is also kind of makes sense where if you were in a jungle like Asmacon, which is, at least in my mind, it's pretty humid. The humidity, actually, you know what? That's the mist.
Yeah, oh my god. I would say if you make a survival check to collect the moisture in the air, and that's very easy to do. You could put out some cloth or whatever. Yeah, totally. Asmacon is meant to be hellacious. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, I'm just going to do my best, and we're going to move on from there. Why don't you get the Merc-eyed one next?
All right. Merc-eyed Azarketi. You live in murky waters and have grown accustomed to life in low visibility environments. You need only a successful DC 3 flat check when targeting a concealed creature, and a successful DC 9 flat check when targeting a hidden creature. You know what? This also could work with our catfish Azarketi.
I definitely like that idea. And I also like how the system is starting to put into place counteractions. You know, like you could in theory be a rogue killer, but it in no way takes power away from the rogue. It just gives you options so that you're not just getting ganked left and right.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the river. Almost said the raver. The river Azarketi. I kind of like the Atlantean raids. Anyway, river Azarketi. You come from the Azarketis who abandon the oceans for the fresh water of inland life. The very geography of rivers require you to develop advanced physical skills to swim against rapids, leap through cascading waters, and deftly navigate shallow and narrow channels. When you succeed in athletics checks to swim, you get a critical success instead. That's nice if you want to make a swim build. I don't know if it's better than the resistance to poison or cold, as well as circumventing the harsh balance of the ancestral negative.
This is, at least to me, this is the salmon Azarketis.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah. Or, once again, the catfish Azarketi, and I'm kind of wanting now to build a catfish Azarketi when we do our build now. Occasion catfish Azarketi.
We could totally make an NPC. Gosh, we have not made an NPC on At the Table in a long time. So if you're hearing this now, chat, your homework is to start prepping some interesting catfish ideas. Or not catfish ideas, but like fish people ideas. Also, no, I'll do that later. Let's do the next one, Spined Azarketi. I believe that? Is that you or me? That's...
No, that's me, actually.
Cool,
For a second, I thought it was you. Anyway, Spine Azarketi. Your fins conceal launchable toxic spines. You have a spine range unarmed attack with the unarmored trait that deals 1d4 poison damage, has a range increment of 10 feet, and is in the dart weapon group. So... in my head now, you're basically kind of like a lionfish that could launch its own spines.
Yeah, you're like the X-Men, Spike or Marrow.
Spike,
yeah, I think they both did that. I actually really like this. It's not like super powerful and broken, but it gives you a ranged option that does non-physical damage, so you can potentially bypass some resistances. Because it's only poison. It's not like piercing and poison. And it's a range increment of 10 feet, so you get to shotgun blast it. But it's also a dart weapon, so you get the critical specializations for that, potentially. This is fascinating. It's not game-breaking, but it is very neat.
This is definitely... you can actually play you could play a fun, what do you call it, a rogue Azarketi with poisoner archetype with this.
Yeah, or you can definitely make an alchemist with the poisoner build there, and definitely benefit from that. Next up, let's go with Tactile Azarketi. I think that's mine. Yeah. Your skin can detect the slightest charges in ocean currents. You gain imprecise wave sense with a range of 30 feet, allowing you to sense motion in the water around you. You also get a +1 circumstance bonus to survival checks to sense direction in aquatic environments. I feel like this one, and I'm pretty sure we were all thinking this at some point, this is definitely great for water world games. When you have to you're on a little dinghy and you need to navigate somewhere.
Yeah. Also, Ranger. This is definitely great for Ranger builds.
Absolutely, especially the +1 to survival for sense direction, I think is what it is, or recall direction. Yeah. Also, Eric Jackson, great to see you in the chat. By the way, if anyone in the chat has any ideas, questions, comments, concerns, quest quandaries, please let us know. And I think sometime around the build, I'm going to put a poll up as to what prime class we should cover, and we'll do a deep dive, and we'll talk with you guys, and we'll build characters, go in depth. It'll be great.
Yeah. We're also going to... Well, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last heritage is Thalassic Azarketi. I'm really hoping I pronounced that right.
Sounds right to me.
You trace your lineage from the Azarketis who lived their life along the great oceans and seas of the world. You know how to use the currents and the primal magic of water to guide your attacks. You gain the Underwater Marauder skill feat, and your piercing range attacks don't have their range increments halved when fighting underwater targets. Real quick, let's jump into Underwater Marauder. It's a feat that you learn to fight underwater. You are not flat-footed while underwater, and you don't take the usual penalties for using a bludgeoning or slashing melee weapon in water. This is actually really cool because usually I kind of want to say if you're underwater, you're still going to be, and you're using a battle map, you're still going to be using the traditional, left, right, back, front for your directions. But technically, if you're underwater, you're fighting in a 3D environment, so you also have to keep in mind who's above you and who's below you when it comes to flat-footed.
I think 3D fighting, especially in Theater of the Mind, is some of the best and interesting ways to do it because you really get to be creative with how you role play in combat. And one of these days, I will get to have my episode where we have a discussion about role playing in combat. So I'm really excited for this, and the fact that you get an entire skill feat / general feat for free that grants this is kind of huge because normally you'd have to burn a feat at some level to get the ability to fight underwater without any penalties. But for free, that's such a good gimme.
This is essentially like in the movie Aquaman, the Atlanteans. I feel they would all kind of have this, at least the soldiers.
I mean, they've mentioned in those movies that like their entire culture is bred underwater. They're a warrior race that like has been training underwater their entire life. So like I feel like it's just kind of a gimme that they would be really good at underwater combat.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up, we are going to be jumping into the feats. PJ, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, first one. I love to say this word. Algolthu bound. Algolthu.
That's why I wanted you to do it.
I believe, and please someone in the chat correct me if you know the lore, I believe the Algolthu are basically like that aberrant kind of occult fish creature that lives forever, and there's a lot of like mind control and stuff like that. So it's not these guys, it's the fish one. Anyway, so Algolthu bond. Although you may not even be aware, the Algolthus, your ancestors, once served maintain a stronghold. That's weird language. Served to maintain a stronghold on the deepest tethered parts of your mind. You receive a +2 circumstance bonus to will saves against mental effects that would make you controlled. And if you roll a success against such effect, it is a critical success instead. However, you gain none of these benefits against effects originating from Algolthus and instead take a -2 penalty. So here's why this is really good. If you're fighting Algolthus at level 1, your GM's a dick.
Yeah.
They're like a CR 9 to 13 creature. They're massive Cthulhuian monstrosity gods. You shouldn't be fighting these things level 1 unless you're fighting a pawn, like a small level pawn.
Yeah, that or you're part of an army fighting them and you're in the back line.
Yeah, for like narrative purposes, that makes sense. Also, a +2 to will saves against its effect and a success is a crit success. That is almost guaranteeing at level 1 that you're never going to be mind controlled by anything but an Algolthu. That is really good.
Yeah, because Algolthus and any other elder gods, they like the mind corrupting.
Oh, yeah. Now, the good thing, at least for the lore I've heard in some places, that the Algolthu are generally not evil. They're just kind of like Nurgle. They want everyone to be happy, but they don't know how to do that, so it kind of gets wonky.
Yeah, they're that toxic friend who thinks that they know what's best for you.
That's very appropriate.
Yeah. Anyway, let's jump on to the next level 1 feat called Ancestral Insight. You have extensive knowledge of your ancestors' ancient origins. you gain the trained proficiency rank in Algothu lore and Aslanti lore. If you roll a critical failure on Algothu lore or Aslanti lore, check to recall knowledge and you get a failure instead. Oh, and that is, yeah, those are kind of tongue twisters, okay? No insult to the origins of those words, it's just that in this mouth.
No, I don't blame you, man. Algolthu and Aslanti are very interesting words. I like that this feat gives you two niche-specific lores, like, because like, I think we talked about this with the Bone Walkers when they had like lore the Boneyard, which still makes me laugh. I know it's a really cool, deep lore, but the name is just so edgy.
I keep imagining the Undertaker from the WWE. He's gonna just pop out somewhere going, Boneyard, yeah, brother.
They used to be like, you're in my boneyard, I'm gonna make you famous. Like, it's just goofy. But what I like about this, though, is that, like, in order to get these lores, otherwise, you have to burn a feat or spend some of your proficiency, skill point, whatever's, in taking the time to say, no, I want this niche lore. And those are things that could probably be better served creating a stronger base for your character, especially level 1. The fact that you can now just be like, no, I got everything set up, everything's solid. Now I want this crazy niche knowledge that's going to be either beneficial or really helpful when the time comes. That's what I love about these. Next up, Azarketi lore. I have a feeling it's going to be almost the same.
Weapon familiarity. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Let's see here. I'll skip the fluff and get down to it. You're trained in athletics and nature. If you'd already become trained in those skills, take one of your choice. And you get trained in Azarketi lore. So it's kind of like the last one. We've definitely seen this type of feat before where it gives you 2 free skills and then 1 lore related to your heritage.
Yeah.
Never hurts to have more skills.
Yeah, I kind of want to say, it might not seem as impressive, like, off the bat, but as someone who in Edge of Legend is playing a very skill heavy and also someone who knows a lot of lore type character, this is actually very useful.
Yeah, and it's really weird, like even when you're a combative character, like a fighter, a barbarian, whatever, like in other games and other editions, they get super cheated on skill proficiencies. And it's a problem because it really hamstrings that player's validity and agency. Like a fighter in 5th edition gets like 2 or 3, maybe even a total of 3 to 4 skills when everything's all said and done. And half the time it's just like, I'm going to intimidate, I'm going to lift, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it really is like, okay, so unless you're going to be yelling at a person or like lifting a rock, you really don't have much to offer, and it kind of sucks.
And honestly, you wouldn't think it, but recall knowledge rolls actually come up fairly often.
Well, especially when like I love my players like, okay, what's the lore? What's the secret? What's the trick? And I'm like, recall knowledge. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Anyway, let's jump into the next feat called Azarketi Weapon Familiarity. You are familiar with weapons that excel underwater. You're trained with crossbows, hand crossbows, long spears, and tridents. In addition, you gain access to all uncommon Azarketi weapons for the purpose of determining your proficiency. Martial Azarketi weapons are simple weapons, and advanced Azarketi weapons are martial weapons.
Oh, that's good. That's really good because especially if you're an Azarketi like fighter, you don't have to get extra feats to be trained in exotic weapons. You can, it all scales up. Also, I'm just gonna skirt the thing here because we've seen this a lot with the Genie kin and a bunch of other kin. This Azarketi weapon familiarity will have aptitude and expertise, which basically allows you to use critical specializations with the weapons of your heritage, as well as I believe when you get bonuses to other weapon groups, you get the same bonuses to this niche group as well. So we're gonna just skip those because it's sing-song karaoke copy BS. We've been there, we've done that. Next up, Cynical. Oh, this one's for me.
And me.
And it's, you know,
it's for all of us.
We're all cynical. Sad. You've been approached with suspicion and distrust through your life and return these sentiments back to strangers you encounter. Wow, mood. As a result, you are difficult to deceive. You get a +1 circumstance bonus to your perception DC against lies and impersonations. Okay, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. And also, I think I kind of want to take that because human ancestry lets me use cross ancestry feats, and I kind of want to take this one for Rufa.
There's got to be. I know, because I know everyone at the table leveled up to level 4, and we're going to be working on getting that done, hopefully by tomorrow's show. But I know level 4 investigator has a special feat called lie detector, so that may be more up your alley.
Oh, I already have it.
The level 4 lie detector feat?
Wait, I have something along the lines of it because I'm an interrogator.
Yeah, I think you get bonuses during an interrogation or a question. But hey. That's not my job. My job is to, right now, be present at the table.
Anyway, the next feat is called Hydraulic Deflection. It's a 1-action ability. Drawing moisture from the atmosphere, you create a disc of hovering water that deflects attacks. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to AC until the start of your next turn. You are water bending. This is water bending.
I love that.
Yeah, I didn't even have to skip a beat. This is water bending.
It also reminds me a lot of just all the Atlantean stuff. Where, they summon water magic to create just protection spheres and things like that. I definitely like that. Let's see the next one.
Yeah. Can I just say something really quick,
was
TJ?
That? Sure.
We need to play a Avatar game at some point. With Pathfinder rules because it's built for it. It's so built for it.
we just might. Let's see how things go. Maybe make that a one-shot. Maybe we could do a spin-off. Who knows? But right now, I want to get to the next one called pelagic aptitude. Pelagic. I don't think I'm saying that right.
That sounds right. I want to say at least.
Yeah. You've learned special tricks to survive underwater. You gain trained proficiency rank in survival. When in an aquatic environment, you roll a critical failure, or if you roll a critical failure on a survival check to sense direction or subsist, you go and get a failure instead. It's nice.
This is useful. This is useful in Asmacon.
Absolutely. However, it says when in an aquatic environment. If you roll a critical failure to subsist or sense direction, you get a failure instead. So I feel like if you... Now, granted, this is level 1, so hopefully your DCs shouldn't require, this much oh-no's. I don't know. I would rather see this later with more power.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Back when I said this is useful in Asmacon, this is useful in underwater Asmacon.
Well, if you remember when you guys crossed the Sand Sea, and when high tide came and you saw people in the water, there's a world under the sea. I mean, you have half God of the Ocean, and he has children. And
also, can I say, I just feel like the people at Paizo, when they're making these feats, they just have a thesaurus open, and they're like, let's find the most difficult pronouncing words that people don't use.
Yes, I'm going to take the roots in Greek or Latin, and I'm going to add it to this Elven word. Thank you for making my life so hard.
Yeah, all the streamers across the world say thank you in a very sarcastic voice.
But also thank you for real for making this game, Paizo. It's very exciting, and I need to have it.
Yeah. But anyway, next level 1 feat is called Perfect Dive. It's a 1-action ability. You dive in the water with exceptional skill and connection to the waves, urging the water itself to cushion your fall. You intentionally leap or otherwise fall into water, taking no falling damage regardless of the distance. So this is kind of like catfall, but you have to have that water component at the end of your fall.
Yeah, and what I like about that is catfall is a spell, and the monks have their crazy mobility things. Dear God, but I like that for 1 action point as long as there's water, you don't have to worry about like blowing a spell. You don't have to worry about some crazy high level monk thing. Level 1 water, I'm good.
Yeah, you're basically Pathfinder Michael Phelps.
Yeah. Oh man, wow, there's a lot of level 1s here. Next one is Striking Retribution. This might be fun for all the number crunchers out there like to hurt people. You have an appropriately intense hatred for Algolthus. Ooh. You get a +2 bonus to damage with weapons and unarmed attacks against the creatures from Algolthus' family and those that serve Algolthus. The GM determines which creatures serve an Algolthu. Okay. In addition, if an Algolthu successfully affects you or one of your allies within 60 feet with an enchantment, your circumstance bonus to damage against that against that Algolthu increases to +4 for 1 minute. So,
Dude.
Kind of insane, especially on a crit. Those numbers double as well, so that all stacks up to some gnarly damage.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, at least in the beginning, I was gonna say, having this as a level 1 feat, yeah, if you're fighting Algolthrus, I don't know how useful that is. Maybe a higher level, but then the fact that it says the GM could determine which creatures serve an Algolthu, which means you could have like regular like monsters who traditionally don't really have the Algolthu trait still count.
Yeah, and that does count. However, like, I think the one hesitation I have with this skill, is, as amazing as it is, the balancing effect and why it's level 1, is because it's specifically Algolthus. If the campaign is using Algolthus, then this feat has a lot of weight to it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Ichi Pokton Papakui, Sam's character, took, I don't know if it's, I think it's part of her dwarf ancestry, basically took a similar feat for orcs. You know, lots of bad blood, lots of history. Some dwarves are like, orcs. So when they got to the fighting orcs part, she's wrecking face because she's doing 2 more damage than she would normally. And if she gets hit by an orc and her retribution axe goes off, that's another +4 damage to that poor unfortunate orc.
Yeah, it's very story specific. Like, if we weren't fighting in the Green War and Sam's character had the I hate orcs ability, it wouldn't be useful because we're not fighting orcs.
Yeah, this has kind of always been one of the problems with ranger classes, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know, get in the chat and see what you guys say about it, because like they've always had like a favored prey in 3.5 and I think a little bit in 5th edition as well. And the problem with favored prey is that it's a balancing mechanic for other fighter classes so that they can do damage as well, but they do damage this way instead of that way.
Yeah.
And if they're not fighting their main prey, they're the main thing that they've like sworn to track down and defeat, then they're not doing the damage. And it sucks because it's niche. Like, I hate orcs. Okay, it sucks. I don't know why you're racist, but so here's your bonus. But you only get the bonus damage that's meant to balance you out with fighters when you're fighting that one thing.
Yeah, that's why in those games I prefer, honestly, for me, one of the smart things to do is just taking humanoid. Does it have 2 arms and 2 legs? Shaped generally like a human. Okay, great. There we go.
Now, I will say this, and then move on because I don't want to like belabor the point. I believe most games, when you choose humanoid, you have to choose, I think, 2 specific types. So like, I don't like humanoids. All humanoids? Well, rules is written, I don't like dwarves and elves or something, let's say. So mechanically speaking, you'd only get that benefit if your enemy was a dwarf or an elf. It would be brilliant if it's like, I don't like any, I'm so misanthropic, I don't like anything that's bipedal. And then it's like, well, okay.
See, really quick, I just want to add this. You don't have to say you hate that type of creature. You can always just say, I am trained to fight. I know how these creatures fight. I'm trained against these types of creatures. That's how I always say it. I don't use hate.
Well, I think that's a really good description, honestly, because I know that in at least 3.5, they made it seem like it was an emotional component. You know, a distrust, a rage, a hate, whatever. So, like, you know, I think back when 3.5 came out, the world was very... I mean, obviously, the same broken world, but our perspective of it was different. And so I think they thought it was more edgy and more, like, bolder to be like, oh, you hate them, that's why you do more damage to them. Like, that's the emotional understanding. But I like your logic better. It removes the very problematic emotional equivalent. Like, I've been training to fight these things. Why? Because
like a bounty hunter.
I just found fighting them to be very interesting and innate to my logic. So I doubled down on that stuff. I know how to, like, knife fight a human better than I know how to knife fight a boar.
Really quick, I want to say hello, Waffles Maple Syrup. Welcome to the chat.
Oh my goodness! Hello, Waffles Maple Syrup. We love you. So good to see you.
But anyway, also we should move on to this. It's an interesting conversation, but maybe we should do a whole episode about something like this.
I'm down. I mean, I love it. I love it. Like when we talked about like romancing role play and a little bit of religious role play. I think we should go into that down the road for sure. If you in the chat would like to see us talk more about like basically what we just wanted to diatribe about, put it in the chat in the comments and let us know so we can grow.
Whose turn is it? I forgot.
I don't know. I'm gonna say it's mine just so because I already have it up. Surface skimmer. We're still level 1, by the way. We're taking our time. I apologize. By sinking gently beneath the waves, you obscure your presence and utilize the water as a barrier between you and land combatants. While you are submerged just below the water's surface, you have cover from attacks made by creatures out of water. You get a +2 to AC for just jumping in the water. Not bad. All right, next up, let's see, where did I put it? There we go.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I had a cough, so I didn't want to subject the chat to the hacking cough. But anyway,
away from the mic.
Yeah, Aquatic Conversationalist. Look, we are finally in the level 5 feats.
Finally.
You can ask questions of, receive answers from, and use the diplomacy skills with animals with the amphibious or aquatic traits. You gain up. I'll tell you why I'm laughing right now. Later on, you make a +1 circumstance bonus to make an impression on such animals. And the reason I'm laughing is you're Aquaman.
I knew it. I knew. I was like, I swear to God, if he says Aquaman, because like, yes, you are Aquaman, but also no, you're not Aquaman, because they've said it canonically. He doesn't talk to them. He mind controls them, and I will die on this hill.
But, you know, in Pathfinder Aquaman talks to the fishes.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I really like this. This is basically a free speak with animal spell all the time forever. Granted, it's only with fish. Well, no, actually, no. Amphibious or aquatic.
Yeah,
that includes frogs, turtles, crabs. This is a
blobfish.
A blobfish? A jellyfish? This is actually, it's a level 5 feat. So, you know, level 5 is weird because it's either a complementary phase or it's a linchpin build. Yeah.
You can talk to penguins. I'm counting them as aquatic.
I'll have to look at the stats because they may just be like beast and bird, but I'll
They
allow
go
it.
in water.
Look, we all know there's only one really awesome penguin. It's the celestial penguin that has saved at least one person's life. And that's basically an angel penguin, so you gotta like...
And Pengu Chan posted, "You talk to me anyway."
You talk to me. This is true, Pengu Chan. This is so true. Now, I really like that at level 5, because level 5 is weird. It's either a linchpin feat or it's like a meh, let's get something really cool. And if you have nothing else about 5 that like really focuses on your build and your character concept, free talking to animals is such a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's skip the Azarketi weapon aptitude because we've already covered that with the other weapon familiarity. Why don't you do drag down? Because that sounds horrifying.
I think I did it already, so it'll be your turn then.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Oof. I don't know if the coffee's kicking in or not. While swimming in water, this is a 2-action ability, by the way. It takes 2 of your 3 actions. While swimming in water at least 10 feet deep, you grab an adjacent creature on nearby land or in the water. because that's horrifying, and pull it down below the surface. Attempt an athletics check to grapple the creature. On success, if the creature is on land. In addition to the normal effect of a grapple, you pull the creature into the water in a space adjacent to you. If the creature is already in the water, on a success, in addition to the normal effects of a grapple, you drag the creature 10 feet deeper into water, moving 10 feet with the creature. Moving a creature into water or deeper into water using drag down is forced movement for the creature, but not you. So, if you absolutely positively want to suffocate to death your enemy, this is how you do it.
I also kind of want to say, because technically quicksand is water, would you be able to use this in, like, quicksand or mud? Which, if you can, it's horrifying.
In theory, yes. However, I don't believe it counts as water for the purposes of things related to water.
Okay.
But yeah, no, you can absolutely do this to drown people, because I had to look over mechanics for quicksand. It's the same concept. Drown, drown, drown.
Anyway, we are moving on to the next level 5 feat, which is Fae Influence. We have discussed this before with other heritages and ancestries and versatile ancestries. But real quick, pretty much you're trained in primal DCs and spell attack rolls, and depending on what kind of Fae, you also get a spell, which is, you know what, a free spell, always useful.
Oh, yeah. If I recall correctly, Fae Ancestry also allows you to gain access to the Primal School of Magic and a spell DC. So this is basically like, yeah, it's a very big feat. You kind of get a little bit of a multi-class into Druid. You don't get the full multi-class, just a little dash of it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Also, big shout out to Alexiel Reen. Great to see you, Alexi. It's been a long time since we signed the chat. Pleasure's always to have you. Okay, so I'm going to go with Marine Ally. I wonder if this is like an animal companion. Okay, you get a familiar. You get a familiar. The type of creature is up to you, but one of its abilities must always be a swim speed or the amphibious familiarity ability. So if you are a fighter or a rogue, you basically get a jellyfish now. Have fun.
This is basically Aquaman's seahorse.
Oh, God. What was the seahorse's name?
I am looking it up.
I used to know it, and I was... My mind was boggled that I remember it, because it was Aquaman and Aqualad, and their seahorses, and there's that...
Oh, here, okay. Storm,
that's right. And then their walrus friend, Tusky. God,
so yeah, you could literally make Aquaman in Pathfinder with this ancestry.
Now, here's a good question. Maybe because it's for the build, I don't know. Like, would this Azarketi... to make Aquaman, would it be a fighter, a barbarian, or a champion? More on that as we go. Or maybe a magus. More on that as we go.
Maybe.
Next up is the water conjuration. Why don't you knock that out, Mr. Michael Powell?
All right. Water conjuration, feat level 5. You carry the ocean with you wherever you go. You can create water as a primal innate spell once per day. Each time you cast create water, you can actually choose to create fresh or seawater. That's very interesting. That's
really cool, especially because I know previously we mentioned the biggest drawback to the Azarketi is that need for water every 24 hours.
Yeah. And
without that magical item, having an innate create water spell is kind of a really good way to circumvent that. And a level 5 create water, I'm curious.
Yeah, it's not bad. And also, I also like the fact that at least rules as written for the Azarketi mechanics, it doesn't specify whether they need fresh or salt water. So, I at least for me, I'm going, you can use as long as it's wet.
Well, it depends. There's different heritages that require different levels of moisture.
As long as it has H2O.
Well, but see, here's the problem with that. If there's heritages that have words like language as written, then that means that's a mechanic that has to be respected. Because if it kind of gets circumvented, then it makes a lot of those heritages kind of invalid. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But your heart's in the right place, and I think that's a good point. Next up, Abolish Transmutation. Oh, wow, we jumped. Yeah, water conjuration. Now we're on level 9 ancestry feats with Abolish Transmutation. You have tapped into the ancient magic used by the Algolthu masters, also known as aboleths. So if you know what an aboleth is, Algolthu is basically aboleth. To mold the flesh of your ancestors. You can use this magic to transfigure other beings. You get a 3rd level feet to fins and a 2nd level water breathing as arcane innate spells. You can cast these once per day each. So that's kind of cool. Because again, that's something the Aboleths would do. They would mutate people against their will to like bring them into their paradise.
It kind of reminds me of the vampire clan from World of Darkness, the Thamesi, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Oh, Tzimisce.
Tzimisce, yeah, the flesh crafters.
Yeah. That's Tzimisce, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. All right. The next level 9 feat is called Azarketi Purification. You can cast Purified food and drink as a primal innate spell, but only on liquids. You can cast a spell once every 10 minutes. You can also use your innate Purified food and drink on a touch creature instead of a liquid to purify their blood, giving that creature a +2 status bonus for 1 minute on their ongoing saves against poisons already present in their body when they cast the spell. Oh, this is actually a really, really cool ability for healers or actually investigators, or if they take the alchemical methodology, or kind of a failsafe for poisoners.
Yeah. I do like that. The food and water, or the purified food and drink, I don't know how often it's going to run into. Maybe like in a very intense game of survival.
Yeah.
But the ongoing saves against poison effects is definitely a huge boon.
All right.
Let's see. So that was purification. Replenishing hydration. Get my cursor out. There we go. You draw life from the water around you. If you submerge in water and rest for 10 minutes, you regain hit points equal to your Constitution modifier times half your level. Okay, let's just talk about this for a second. So normally you'd get Constitution modifier times your level for effectively what is a long rest. You're getting 3/4 of that healing for every 10 minutes you are submerged in water. That's bonkers.
I believe it's not every 10 minutes, it's just for 10 minutes. At least 10 minutes, you regain the hit points equal to your Constitution modifier times half your level.
Well, that's true, but hold on. If you submerge in water and rest for 10 minutes, so here's the thing. It just says if you rest for 10 minutes, you get this.
Yeah.
There's no limitations imposed upon that, only a timeline. So my question about the language here is it every 10 minutes, like if you were to refocus and get focus spells, or is this just 10 minutes once a day done? Because it doesn't have that limitation on there.
It needs a little specification, and also kind of want to say it's cool, but you also gotta say it says you have to submerge your body, submerge in the water. So you have to carry around a bathtub or a barrel with you the entire time.
Doesn't have to. You could just jump in the river, make sure your face is underwater, and since you breathe underwater, you could be there for 30 minutes, an hour.
All right.
God, that's amazing.
Next up is called Riptide. It's a level 9 feat, and it's a reaction. Prereqs are drag down and expert in athletics. Requirements are you are within 10 feet of water, at least 10 feet deep, and your speed is sufficient to reach the water in one stride. Trigger is you successfully grapple a creature of the same size as you or smaller. You stride up to 10 feet to enter the water and bring the grabbed creature with you into the water. So, yeah, you're going commando on them. You're totally going commando on them, but I will say the requirements for this is very specific.
Yeah, let's see. You're within 10 feet of water, or at least 10 feet deep, and your speed is sufficient to reach the water in one stride, which you can get with the swim speed of even 15. You successfully grappled a creature. So you know what's funny about Riptide, because it does require drag down to get it. This is a really beautiful way to make your drowning build, and that's a horrible thing to say out loud. If you want to make your drowning build even better, why am I saying this? You make the grapple check right away. Reaction, use Riptide. Basically grab them, jump 10 feet to water or 10 feet deeper, and then use drag down to take them another 10. And so long as you don't break your grapple, you're basically suffocating them so well.
I got a better way to kind of say it. Instead of calling it the drowning build, call it the aquatic ambusher.
The aquatic ambusher. Yeah, and that's a very interesting and polite way to say my entire character build is all about killing you by drowning.
God, you're that that folklore. The lady in Mexico, the ghost lady,
La Llorona.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's how it goes. She drowns people. She's a ghost who drowns people.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of. Rip Psyche in the chat was saying that's the great thing about that lizard folk that he played during Jasper's game day is that he could hold his breath for 2 hours. Yeah, and here's the crazy thing about suffocation. You'd have to get to the end of your breath range before hitting suffocation. For most people, it is 5 rounds plus Constitution modifier. But if you have 2 hours of air, there's no point in fighting you for 2 hours to suffocate you.
Yeah, you're literally a horror movie slasher.
Yeah,
but with water. But anyway, why don't you take Water Dancer next, PJ?
Ooh, I'm your water dancer, dancing for water. You glide through the water with graceful ease. When in an aquatic or swamp environment, you ignore the effects of non-magical difficult terrain. In addition, swimming up or down isn't difficult terrain for you. I feel like Water Dancer and the Underwater Marauder, if they don't already work together, then for sure this does kind of take out some of the issues.
Yeah.
But they make a really good pair.
They do. Our next level 9 feat is called Water Strider. It's a 2-action ability. Water cradles your every step, allowing you to walk on its surface. Stride up to your speed. During your movement, you can move across liquids that don't support your weight. If you end your movement on a surface that can't support you, you fall into a liquid at the end of your movement. You can increase the number of actions to 3 to stride up to 3 times your speed. So basically, walk on water. But it does say liquid, so now I'm wondering, lava?
I think the ruling for lava is that you can definitely walk on top of the surface, but you would still be subject to the burning of lava. Because the whole point of this is it allows you to walk on the surface. And it basically functions as the spell walk on water or stride, water striding. It's cool that you get a free water striding, and it's even better that without burning a spell slot, you can technically go 3 times your speed across it. This does have a lead up to something else. We'll get to that later.
You're like that bug, the water skimmer bug.
Okay, so we're finally making our way downtown, walking fast, and we're at the 13th level feats for Aquatic Adaptation. Once per day. Eric Jackson and I were talking in the chat about there should be a once per day thing and that whole self-heal in the water thing. So we finally have language that says once per day. If you and up to 4 other creatures are in contact with a body of water deep enough for you to fully submerge, you can spend 10 minutes adapting the creatures to that specific body of water. This allows them to breathe normally while within that body of water and protects them from deep ocean pressure. These effects last until the creatures are no longer in contact with that body of water, or you use this ability again, whichever comes first. This is what I like to call the "F you pay me" skill, because there are so many ways and campaigns where, especially at level 13, if the GM is throwing underwater travel, this is meant to be a potential to challenge you lethally without trying to roll to hit you. And having this is so clutch for that moment of like, oh, we are going to be so screwed. And then there's your Atlantean friend going, give me 10 minutes.
Yeah. Next up is a level 13 feat called Aquatic Camouflage. You blend into the waves while fully submerged in water as long as an observer is within at least 20 feet away from you. You don't need cover from that observer to hide or sneak. So pretty much you have cover if you're fully submerged in water. But I also kind of like to say, because, you know, aquatic marine animals, they naturally kind of have this ability, especially those that live along coral reefs.
Yes, but it's so much better. You might have mentioned this, and I apologize if it went through one and out the other, Michael. I'm so sorry. But what's cool about this is, so long as they're 20 feet away from you, you're basically always sneaking.
Yeah.
You're always allowed to sneak. You're always within cover. You don't have to make a check or anything. They're 20 feet away. Cool. I'm covered automatically. I'm going to sneak now. Like,
I also kind of want to say, there are those, like, I think they're the flounders. They're the bottom dwellers in the oceans, where they're literally, their body is the same color as the bottom, the sand and everything, and they just they hide like that.
I think so. I think that's one way to look at it. But I think Rules is written, the whole idea is that you're just so good at being in water that you can just, your very presence in water is automatically masked. It's kind of like the wood elf who has the hide in plain sight ability. Just being in the forest or in rain or whatever automatically gives them some level of cover.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Azarketi Weapon Expertise at level 13. And why don't you take that?
Actually, why don't we skip that? Because that's kind of part of the weapon familiarity stuff that we have, like the Geniekin and everything else. But let's go with Hydraulic Maneuvers for sure, because this one's unique. You batter your foes. This is a one-action Ancestry ability. You batter your foes with a torment of water siphoned from your surroundings. If the next action you take is an athletics check to disarm, shove, or trip, that action can have a range of 15 feet. You don't receive any item bonuses to that check or any circumstance bonuses related to your physical body. But if you roll a critical failure on the athletic check, you only get a failure instead. So it's a ranged trip, disarm, and a ranged shove based on an athletics check from your body with no benefits beyond whatever your normal athletics check would be.
It's also water bending.
Oh, big time. It's big time water bending.
All right. Yeah, it's a really great ability. And like I said, being able to do all this, especially this is essentially kind of like, because I basically play this character as Rufa in the Edge of Legend. I use my whip as a ranged trip attack. This is doing the same, but with water.
I do definitely like that, yeah. And I love having the 15-foot range. So I think even your whip has like a 10-foot range.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth investing in. Why don't you get the next one, the Mist Strider?
All right.
Can't talk.
The Mist Strider is a level 13 feat. The prereq for this, you need to have Water Strider. You condense the moisture in the air, solidifying it so it could hold your weight. When you use Water Strider, you could walk on air, you could ascend and descend at a maximum of a 45-degree angle. You still fall at the end of your movement if you don't end on a surface that can support you as normal for Water Strider. So essentially, it's kind of like air. It's like air. I think it's spelled called air step or airwalk, but you're in a high moisture, humidity area.
Since we love comparing to comic books, this is a feat that Barry Allen in the New 52 was able to pull off, where his feet were able to vibrate in such a frequency that he could collect enough air molecules in the air to form ice crystals enough to support his weight. So he could literally, and has done so at least on one occasion, run on thin air. And this is exactly that.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can, you can ascend and descend to a maximum of a 45-degree angle. You're basically like halfway between a straight up and a straight forward. I love it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right.
And because it's based on Water Strider, you can make 3 actions to go 3 times your speed. So when you positively, absolutely have to run 60 to 80 feet diagonally in the air, There you go. Oh my
Yep.
God, it's bizarre. That's crazy. So I guess it's me for rehydration.
Yep.
Okay, rehydration once per day. You surround your body with a thin layer of water drawn from the moisture in the air. You can spend 1 hour resting to rehydrate your gills and skin, which counts as submerging your body in water. At the GM's discretion, incredibly dry areas such as deserts may not have enough moisture in the air for your rehydration to work. That's good. So here's why my eyeballs bugged out for a second. And it's not even because the one big drawback to this really great Ancestry is that you have to submerge yourself for an unnamed number of time once a day. It's because of other ability where if you spend 10 minutes submerged underwater with, as of yet, no actual limitation, you can do 5 times half your, Constitution modifier times half your level.
Yeah.
You get that HP back. Your body basically heals very quickly because you're underwater. The fact that you can get that ability and then get rehydration, so that once per day, you don't even have to be around water. You can just spend an hour in water. That's that ability for like 10 minutes spent times 6. Now, again, we haven't really decided if the language is legitimate rules as written or if there's a limitation because it doesn't say any of that. But if you combine that ability with rehydration, you could, in theory, get 6 times the effect of almost a full night's rest within an hour of healing.
Yeah, true. I also kind of want to say, at the GM's discretion, incredibly dry areas such as deserts. You know what? It makes sense, but I also want to make the argument, because I will make this argument if I'm ever playing high level Azarketi. There are moisture collectors on the desert planet of Tatooine.
Yeah, I was listening to something last night, and it was like, I think it was an epic rap battle between Harry Potter and Luke Skywalker. He's like, how dumb is it you're a moisture farmer on a desert planet with 2 suns? And I'm like, well, that's why they farm moisture, because they need it.
Yeah, but anyway, we are finally at the capstone feat of the Azarketi, and it's at level 17, and it's called Underwater Volcano. Okay, before I read this, I have high hopes because this just sounds badass. Anyway, you can cast Volcanic Eruption as a 7th level primal innate spell once per day, except that you can only invoke the volcano on the floor of a body of water, and the effects that normally happen to flying creatures happen to swimming creatures instead. Okay, let's check out Volcanic Eruption.
Spell's crazy.
It's a level 7 spell. Traditions Primal, 2 actions, somatic and verbal, range of 120 feet, area 5-foot radius, and a 80-foot tall cylinder. Saving throw, reflex. The ground opens up, spraying a column of lava high in the air and in a vertical cylinder, dealing 14d6 damage to creatures in the sea. The lava rapidly cools and encases creatures in the area. A creature encased in rock is clumsy 1 and takes a minus 10-foot status penalty to its speed. All normal terrain is difficult terrain to a flying creature, and as such, creatures immediately descend 20 feet the moment they're encased, but they don't take damage from this fall. A creature encased in rock can attempt to escape against your spell DC at the end of effect. Otherwise, the creature remains encased until it takes a total of 50 damage, freeing it from the rock. Additionally, creatures in this area and those within 5 feet of the lava column automatically take 3d6 fire damage from the intense heat, regardless of the results of their saving throws. The critical success is the creature's unaffected. Success, the creature takes half damage. Failure, the creature takes full damage and is encased. And critical failure, the creature takes double damage and is encased. And heightened level 1, the damage in the area increases by 2d6, and the damage from this intense heat increases by 1d6.
So, this is insane. That doesn't matter what your class is. As a level 17 Azarketi, you get this spell for free. And I want to say, what I love about this spell is that any creature around the lava column that wasn't affected by the spell, but still close enough to it, still takes 3d6 straight up, no saves. Just this is another "F you pay me" ability. It even says any creature in the area within 5 feet of the lava column automatically takes the damage from the intense heat, regardless. Like,
Oh yeah, on real quick, hello T for Goblins, love your name. And yes, we are talking about the Azarketi, and they do make terrifying pirates, and kind of would, it would be a little difficult for land-based campaigns, but and I do agree, it would be a fun spell to cast in a shadow part of a river, because still technically, rules as written, it is at the bottom of a body of water.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing about the underwater volcano. It lets you use this insane volcano spell inside a body of water.
Ooh, I'm wondering.
So you could.
Could you do this? Dig a hole, pour some water in the hole. That's my body of water.
You could also just use your free create water spell.
Yeah.
I mean, now granted, now here's the thing. I think this should require some GM discretion, because if you're like, okay, so there's a puddle on the ground. Can I make a 120-foot volcano erupt in that puddle? I mean, rules as written, maybe. But logically, and for decency's sake, I mean, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because the whole point about the volcano eruption is you're using an underwater volcano.
Yeah. But, anyway, that has been the Azarketi. What do you think? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We're going to set up, I think, the next one if we have time. Or should we part 2 that and use the Beast Kid another time? Because Azarketi was very dense. The first level has a lot of options for builds.
Yeah, we could definitely table this, and we could do Beastkin on our next episode next week, if you want. And that means we will take a break, and yeah, we'll do a build next.
Sounds good. Yeah, for those of you that may be new to At the Table, first of all, thank you for showing up. We love you. Normally what we do in the show is we have a nice, like, hour and a half, 2-hour discussion about something related to the books, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break, and when we come back, we're going to build something with you guys. Well, I think we might take a few minutes to figure that out on our 5-minute break. But if you also want to talk about this amazing Ancestry with its crazy magic and awesome skills, please have a discussion. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yep. All right, so we are going on break then.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best. I want to do a quick shout out to T for Goblins, who said decency goes out the window at level 12. By 17, you're unrepentant war criminals.
Yeah. Oh my God. What does that say about Roof? Oh my God. How do I do Roof at level 17 then?
I mean, you're already an unrepentant war criminal.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's when Rufa becomes the king of hell.
Oh my God! Well, there's going to be a lot of devils that are going to have something to say about that. Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, you do have that coupon for 1 free war.
Yeah.
That you got from Adolf Prime because you won your spear throwing game. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining in to the only show that asks you to pull out your TTRPG books, pull out a chair, and join us at the table. We were talking about the Azarketi Ancestry. It went a little long because, man, they are in depth. Get it? In depth. Ha. Fish pun. I get a 0 point. But great content. I mean, a free volcano spell, some other really cool stuff. Really great class. Perfect for your water worlds campaigns. Without further ado, we have to say goodbye. So, Mr. Michael Powell, please tell them who you are and where they can find you on that sweet, sweet internet.
Well, I am Michael Powell. You can find me all over the internet on my social media, which is at Mr. Kapow. That's MrKapao. Or my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Michael Powell does stuff, because I do a lot of stuff, like my YouTube channel, which is called Fantastic Tales of Adventure. And also, on Thursdays, you can find me on the Toyzilla Network channel at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where I host Toyzilla Live, which is a show where I talk about toy news and nostalgia stuff. It's a lot of fun, and if you stick around for a little bit, I will be doing, I might be a part of Afters at a live action roleplay, so That should be a little fun. That should be fun. We're going to talk about some stuff, chill, hang out, etc. But anyway, PJ, your turn.
All right. Well, my name is PJ McGaw. You know, you can find me all over the internet at pj.mcgaw, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And when I'm not here with Mr. Michael Powell, you can find me on this same channel Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, doing Edge of Legend. And I'm super excited as we get closer and closer to the end of the adventures in Osmocon and moving on from there. The Green War is just ramping up. So please tune in for that this Saturday, 1 to 3 p.m. on twitch.tv/Gilding Lights, a Teen Phoenix's D&D channel. You can see us doing Poison Tulips, and we're almost at the end of our 8-episode run. I think we're either episode 7 or this might be the last. Honestly, it's been a blur because it's been so much chaos and so much fun. So come in and check it out. This could be the last episode. Who knows? Maybe there's going to be a season 2. If you like a season 2, let Ryan Omega know on Life Action Roleplay, and we'll see what we do. And there's also 2 other big games. One on June 4th with Waffle Maple Syrup. Myself and a lot of our friends are going to be doing that as we play Deadlands and playing Cowboys and having a great time. And further, more details to come, but on June 15th, on June 12th, I'm going to be doing a charity game for the Wounded Warrior Project. I'm a huge fan, giving support our veterans and our warriors. So more details on that as it happens. But until then, I'll see you same Nat time, same Nat channel here at the table. You guys have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. I love you.